The air in the Grand Hall of the United Nations General Assembly crackled with an almost palpable tension, a familiar hum of diplomatic exchanges and carefully worded platitudes. World leaders, seasoned diplomats, and a phalanx of international press sat poised, expecting the usual discourse on global challenges and incremental solutions. But on this particular day, a different kind of energy permeated the hallowed space, an undercurrent of anticipation stirred by the presence of a young African leader, President IBRAHIM Traoré of Burkina Faso. His name, until recently, had been a whisper in the corridors of power, but his actions had begun to resonate like a drumbeat across a continent yearning for change. Before we dive into the heart of this truly remarkable story, one that challenges the very foundations of global aid and redefines the narrative of African self-determination, take a moment to join our growing community. If this story of courage, vision, and defiance resonates with you, please hit that like button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts on true independence, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring narratives that often go untold. Your engagement helps us bring these powerful stories to a wider audience, sparking conversations that can change the world. Now, back to the unfolding drama in the UN General Assembly. President Traoré strode to the podium, not with the practiced ease of a career politician, but with the quiet resolve of a man burdened by a profound mission. His gaze swept across the assembly, piercing through the layers of protocol and pretense. When he began to speak, his voice, though calm, carried the weight of generations of aspiration. He didn't mince words. He spoke of the paradox of a resource-rich continent perpetually dependent on foreign aid, of the hands that offered assistance often holding the strings of control. He spoke of USAID not as a malicious entity, but as a symbol of a system that, however well-intentioned, had inadvertently fostered a cycle of reliance rather than true liberation. Then came the declaration that sent a jolt through the room, silencing the murmurs and fixing every eye upon him. We are here today to announce the Rice for Everyone initiative, a program born not of charity, but of our own sweat, our own soil, and our unwavering belief that Africa can and will feed Africa. He articulated a vision of radical self-sufficiency, a future where every grain consumed on the continent would be a testament to African ingenuity, hard work, and collective will. It was a bold, almost audacious pronouncement, a direct challenge to the established global order, a defiant assertion of sovereignty, pride, autonomy, and above all, dignity. The shockwaves were immediate and palpable. A smattering of applause erupted from some delegations, particularly from the Global South, but it was quickly overshadowed by a palpable unease that rippled through the ranks of the more established powers. Faces that had been composed moments before now registered a mix of disbelief and thinly veiled irritation. In the front row, Donald Trump, known for his often unfiltered reactions, was visibly disturbed. His usual boisterous demeanor was replaced by a furrowed brow and a tightening of his jaw. He shifted in his seat, his eyes narrowed, clearly seeing Traoré's declaration not merely as an idealistic speech, but as a direct affront, a challenge to American influence and the very framework of international relations he understood. To him, Traoré was not merely speaking of rice. He was speaking of a paradigm shift that threatened to dismantle decades of carefully constructed geopolitical leverage. The international media, always hungry for a dramatic narrative, pounced. Headlines blared and expert commentators debated furiously. Some hailed Traoré as a visionary, a beacon of hope for a continent long exploited. They spoke of the inherent right of nations to self-determination and the potential for a new era of genuine partnership. But others, however, were quick to highlight the immense practical challenges, the lack of infrastructure, the need for massive investment, the complexities of distribution, and the sheer scale of the undertaking. They dismissed it as naive, idealistic, and ultimately unfeasible, a grand gesture with little chance of success. This initial skepticism, broadcast across global networks, only served to underscore the monumental task that lay before President Traoré. The world watched, some with hope, many with doubt, as the young leader prepared to turn his audacious vision into a tangible reality. The echoes of President Traoré's audacious speech at the UN General Assembly reverberated far beyond the marble halls, sparking a global conversation that ranged from fervent admiration to cynical dismissal. Yet amidst the cacophony of opinions, one truth remained unyielding. President Ibrahim Traoré was not a man of empty promises. The skepticism, the doubts, the thinly veiled condescension from the established powers, none of it deterred him. He viewed these challenges not as roadblocks, but as necessary proving grounds, each obstacle a step closer to the liberation he envisioned for his people and his continent. His resolve was a steel rod, forged in the fires of generations of unfulfilled potential. With the fervor of a revolutionary and the pragmatism of a seasoned leader, Traoré immediately set about transforming his grand vision into tangible action. He didn't wait for international consensus or external validation. Instead, he embarked on a whirlwind tour of neighboring nations, his message resonating deeply with leaders and citizens alike who had long felt the sting of dependence. In Mali, he spoke of shared destiny. In Niger, of collective strength. In Ivory Coast, of a future where African hands would feed African mouths. These weren't mere diplomatic visits. They were strategic alliances being forged, handshakes sealing commitments to a shared future. The Rice for Everyone initiative began to take root, not as a top-down mandate, but as a grassroots movement. Farmers, inspired by the promise of dignity and self-sufficiency, embraced new sustainable farming techniques. Educational campaigns, spearheaded by passionate local advocates, taught modern agricultural practices, efficient water management, and the importance of crop rotation. The youth, often disillusioned by limited opportunities, found new purpose in the fields, their hands tilling the soil, their minds fertile with the seeds of innovation. What began as a national endeavor quickly blossomed into a regional phenomenon. The sight of rice harvests, bountiful and vibrant, spreading across the Sahel, was more than just an agricultural success. It was a powerful visual testament to a continent awakening. Crucially, the profits, every single cent, remained in Africa, reinvested into communities, fueling local economies, and strengthening the very foundations of this newfound independence. As the success stories began to trickle, then flood into global news cycles, a new kind of ripple effect began. Donald Trump, initially dismissive, viewing Traoré's pronouncements as mere rhetoric, found his attention drawn back to the burgeoning movement. His advisors, initially confident that the initiative would falter under its own weight, now presented him with undeniable data. Rice production was soaring, food imports were plummeting in participating African nations, and, perhaps most concerningly, the influence of traditional aid organizations, including USAID, was visibly waning. Trump, ever the pragmatist when faced with undeniable facts, grew concerned. He saw not just a successful agricultural program, but a direct challenge to American geopolitical leverage, a bold assertion of autonomy that threatened to reshape the global power dynamic. He dispatched envoys, then made calls, attempting to reassert American influence, perhaps even offering assistance to guide the burgeoning program. But he was met with a united, polite, yet firm African resistance. The leaders, emboldened by Traoré's vision and the tangible results, reiterated their commitment to self-reliance. The narrative had shifted. Faced with this burgeoning success and the unexpected unity, Trump made a decision that stunned many. He would visit Burkina Faso. The arrival of Air Force One in Ouagadougou was an event in itself, a stark contrast to the quiet, determined work happening in the rice paddies. Trump, accompanied by a retinue of advisors, was given a first-hand tour of the Rice for Everyone operations. He saw the efficient irrigation systems, the vibrant fields stretching to the horizon, the enthusiastic young farmers, and the local processing plants. He was impressed, undeniably so, by the sheer scale and efficiency of it all. yet an underlying unease gnawed at him. This success was happening without American oversight, without American funding, without American control. It was a testament to a different kind of power. In a climactic moment, standing amidst a field of flourishing rice, the Burkina sun beating down, Traoré faced Trump. "Mr. President," Traoré said, his voice calm but firm, "we are not replacing anyone. We are simply building our own solutions. We are cultivating our own destiny." The words hung in the air, a profound statement that transcended the simple act of growing rice. It was a declaration of self-determination, a quiet revolution unfolding before the eyes of a world leader accustomed to being at the center of every solution.
The quiet revolution, sparked in the rice paddies of Burkina Faso and articulated with such clarity at the UN General Assembly, could no longer be contained. The Rice for All program, once dismissed as a pipe dream, had blossomed into a powerful, undeniable reality. Its success resonated far beyond the borders of West Africa, becoming a global symbol of dignity, resilience, and the profound power of self-determination. Developing nations across continents, long accustomed to the dictates of foreign aid, watched with renewed hope. Traoré's vision had proven that true progress wasn't about receiving handouts, but about cultivating one's own solutions, fostering internal strength, and forging genuine, equitable partnerships. The narrative of African dependency was being rewritten, grain by grain, by the very hands that tilled the soil. The sheer scale of the transformation was undeniable. Satellite imagery confirmed the verdant expansion of rice fields. Economic reports detailed the surge in local agricultural economies. And, most compellingly, the faces of countless men, women, and children across the region bore the mark of newfound food security and hope. Even the most entrenched skeptics in the West found their arguments crumbling in the face of such overwhelming evidence. And then came the moment that truly stunned the world, a public acknowledgment that echoed the quiet revolution Traoré had initiated. In a televised interview, Donald Trump, known for his unwavering stance and often dismissive tone towards perceived challenges to American hegemony, was asked about the Rice for All program. After a characteristic pause, he conceded, "Look, I gotta say, this Traoré fella, he's doing something impressive over there. Really impressive. They're growing a lot of rice. It's working. Who knew? Maybe sometimes the local guys, they actually do have the solutions." It was a grudging admission, perhaps, but an admission nonetheless. A crack in the edifice of established thought, signaling a nascent understanding that global problems might indeed have local, self-determined answers. 5 years had passed since that momentous UN address. The vibrant green of the rice fields now stretched across vast swaths of the Sahel, a living tapestry of success. At a grand ceremony held in Ouagadougou, attended by leaders from across Africa and a growing number of international observers, President Traoré stood before his people. His face, etched with the wisdom of experience, glowed with quiet pride. "They told us it couldn't be done," he began, his voice strong and resonant. "They said we were too poor, too dependent, too African. But we chose a different path. We chose to trust in ourselves, in our land, in our unity. And today, we see the harvest of that trust." He spoke not of statistics or economic figures, but of transformed lives, of children no longer hungry, of families building futures, of communities thriving with renewed purpose. This, he declared, was the true legacy, a testament to the power of a dream made real by collective will. Among the crowd, a young man named Amadou, his face beaming, listened intently. 5 years ago, he had been a struggling farmer in Mali, barely eking out a living. Now, thanks to the Rice for All initiative, he was a regional leader, overseeing a cooperative of hundreds of farmers, sharing his knowledge, and embodying the very spirit of the program. His story, multiplied 1,000 times over, was the beating heart of Traoré's achievement. The ceremony reached its emotional peak when a letter was read aloud. It bore the seal of the United States. It was from Donald Trump. The words, while still carrying his distinctive cadence, were undeniably congratulatory. He acknowledged the remarkable achievement of the Rice for All program and, in a surprising turn, concluded with a line that resonated deeply. Perhaps true greatness lies not in who provides the most aid, but in who inspires the most solutions that truly serve the people. It was a powerful, if belated, recognition of a new era, a shift in the global dynamic. The Rice for All initiative had not just replaced the foreign aid program, it had replaced a mindset, proving that the future of Africa, and indeed the world, would be forged by its own hands, with dignity as its guiding star. And so the story of President IBRAHIM Traoré and the Rice for All initiative continues to unfold, a testament to courage, vision, and the unwavering spirit of self-determination. If this journey of transformation has inspired you, if it has ignited a spark of hope for a more equitable world, then please like this story, share it with those who need to hear it, leave your comments below with your thoughts on true independence, and subscribe to our channel for more narratives that illuminate the path to a brighter future. Your support helps us amplify these crucial voices and continue telling the stories that truly matter.